I'm a big believer that your situation in life is entirely, maybe not entirely, primarily because of your own doing. Your fate is in your own hands. This gets into the idea of locus of control. I'm going to use my psychology degree for a moment because I never get to do it in real life. So I'll finally put it to use. But basically, locus of control is the outcomes of your life are driven either by if you have an internal locus of control, you believe that you are the cause of the outcomes of your life. Whereas if you have an external locus of control, you believe that whatever is going on is happening to you rather than because of you. Things are happening to you. You're not causing things to happen. It's a very active versus passive way of thinking.
When you're losing, the one thing that you have is certainty. The certainty that it's over for you, that no matter what you do, it doesn't matter. I'm reading Beyond Good and Evil, and it's a fucking tough read, I'm not gonna lie, but there's this part right in the beginning where he goes, there are those who prefer to put their last trust in a sure nothing rather than in an uncertain something. And that's really what this is. It's like, why would I try dating, bro? There's a male loneliness epidemic going on. Or why would I try studying to go down a new career path, bro. Fucking AI is gonna take all that shit anyway. There's comfort there. And this whole thing feeds and requires a shitty self image. If you've convinced yourself that you're a stupid, unlovable chud, and you consume content that confirms this belief, this is now how you get perceived by the world around you.
So this clip really spoke to me. I mean, I watched the whole video. The whole video was good. Shout out Polly Walnuts. He drops constant bangers all the time. Check his stuff out. But what really got me thinking here with this whole internal versus external locus of control, you will hear people at work or in your life, friends, whatever, and people will just be straight up bitching about everything in their life sucks, everything happens to them. Nothing is ever their fault, but every bad thing in their life is just totally out of their control. They're a victim of the world. And this shows this shows an external locus of control, which if you don't recognize that you're in this way of thinking, if think about any bad thing in your life, that just anything that sucks. Why is that the case? Is it something that you did? Is it something that happened to you? And you know what? It's very likely that this could be something that happened to you. If you got T-boned by a drunk driver, I don't think it's I don't think it's fair to assume that you caused that just by, existing on the road. Maybe you weren't being as attentive as you should have been, but it was a drunk driver on the road. That's not like you caused them to chug beer and then get in their car and drive into you. But I think a lot of this external versus internal locus of control is how you handle whatever happens after the fact. People with a strong external locus of control, they're going to let this ruin their life, even if it very may well be a life ruining event. But if you have a strong internal locus of control where you believe that, maybe your recovery is going slow and you think, I really need to step up my recovery game and I need to, hit the physical therapy. I need to really take hold of how this is going. I'm not going to let this control my life going forward. It's a crappy event, sure, but this is going to be a short time in my life and I'm not going to let it ruin me. I think that's really where this internal versus external locus of control comes from. And I think it's super important because people who are successful in life, they are the drivers of that. If you believe, and I think this kind of gets into the whole like, rich people tend to have an easy life because they're rich. But also, I think that having money, gives you kind of growing up in money, you have that safety, that confidence that, nothing bad is ever going to happen. And so generally, I think people that grow up wealthy have an internal locus of control because these self-made, quote unquote, self-made kids that are like, oh, I paid for all, I did all on my own, I'm self-made, I'm successful because of me. That very well may not be the case. Maybe everything was handed to them, but they're confident. They believe that they did themselves. So I think that this internal locus of control that they have, they go on to carry that throughout their lives, and they become successful people. And so, yeah, your environment does affect you, but your response to it is really what drives the outcome. And so I was just thinking on this because this Polly Walnuts video, and I thought it was a banger. I had to get my thoughts out into the world and just I don't know. Think about people in your life that complain. Are they complaining because they're ruining their own life? Are they complaining because life is happening to them and think about, what their situation in life is. Me specifically, I'm thinking about this one dude at work. His life was terrible. His ex was always coming after him for some bullshit. His car was always breaking down. He was always getting sick. His kids were getting sick. Everything was always happening to him. His life was chaotic. And this dude was miserable. I mean, this guy hated coming to work. He hated people. He was miserable to talk to. I did not like the dude at all. And he very much had an external locus of control. Nothing was ever his fault. And then, I think about, and honestly, I think it's kind of rare to meet people that have a strong internal locus of control, especially people that are vocal about it, because it's not really like people don't really want to talk about it. Either comes off as they're bragging and they're very boastful, and then you don't like them because of that, because then if their life is going well, they're attributing it to themselves, and that often doesn't come across very well. And then when things are going bad for them, and if they're reflecting on like, hey, this is what I could have done better, this one's on me, I'm going to fix it going forward, that's not as loud or as annoying as somebody that is always talking about how life is happening to them and they're complaining. I think people that have a stronger external locus of control like to complain a lot more. So it's kind of rare, I think, to find people that have a strong internal locus of control and actually talk about it. But I don't know, just keep an eye out for it in your life. Keep an eye out in your own life, and just in people that you know, and really try to keep in mind that your life is a result of you. Bad shit happens all the time. There's stuff that's out of our control, but how do you respond to it? Yeah, drop some thoughts. Let me know. Do you think that you have an internal or external locus of control? I hope it's internal. Maybe maybe you're somewhere in the middle, which would make sense. Because also, sorry, one more little sidebar. People that have too strong of an internal locus of control, they can really beat themselves up. So, like, say you didn't get the job you wanted and you attribute that entirely to yourself, and you're just a terrible interviewer or interviewee. You suck, man. You're the worst. That's why you didn't get the interview. Maybe it really was that the interviewer was just having a bad day. Maybe they already found the person that they needed. They already had selected the person for the role, and your interview is just a formality. So having too strong of an internal locus of control can come back to bite you in the ass. So you have to find this middle ground of, I don't know, I don't know if cope is the right word. Not everything is your fault. So don't go around life thinking that any bad thing that happens to you is because of you. Have a little bit of cope, have a little bit of that external locus of control, because again, there is life happens. There's some stuff that is out of our control. um, but with that little caveat, most stuff that happens in your life is a result of you. So seize the day, all that fun stuff. Get on top of life, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.